regardless of whether or not AI beats are trash or AI music generators are trash right now, a lot of producers believe, because I've been getting tweets and comments saying this, that AI generated content is copyright free. It's not protected by copyright. It can't be protected by copyright. What's going down is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. My name's DJ Payne One. I'm joined by Erinn Ritter. I'm joined by Erinn Knight and Dame Ritter. They've now become just one single unified host.
She is family now, so
yeah. And I feel we're all.
You have a single brother?
Two of them.
Are they sane? Look, we can make this Erinn Ritter really quickly.
Yeah, I saw you going off on Wande on Twitter, Erinn.
I'm looking for I'm in need of a husband. I'm not looking for him. I hope he's looking for me, but
it'll happen. Anyway, so this is episode 198. We have some pretty big changes coming to the MEC. We have a new partnership with radio. Radio is Issa Rae's company. And we don't even know the exact details of what's about to happen, but we just know that they have a lot more resources, a lot bigger reach. So I anticipate some very cool things happening in the very near future that we will still be involved with. You know, there might be some times where you see us a little less, but we will still be visible on the platform. But that's all we're going to give you for now. We just know that it's going to be something special. It'll be in good hands. So we'll have more details coming soon. But the partnership with Issa Rae's radio, I think will be awesome for our community. So
talk about a dream collab. You know what I'm saying? Audio everywhere is their tagline. I think it's a privilege that they thought the MEC was spectacular enough to be on their platform and be a part of it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and it was really because of the community. They saw like the real engagement. They saw that people were really tapped in, and it was the type of artists and producers that take their career seriously, that are tapped in. So because when I had Benoni, who's the president of radio, on, and then once I had him on at MEC. After that, he saw the engagement and the people that were asking him questions after that session. So he kind of knew that, our folks were tapped in. So we'll have more details in the coming weeks. But this podcast, at least under this same name, the MEC podcast, will stop in 3 episodes. So we got 3 episodes left. So we got to make sure these are bangers. The pressure is on. We got to bring our A game. So yeah, what we got going on today?
Well, I know you wanted to talk about which gas station has the best chicken sandwich. I wanted to talk about how NFTs are going to save the production community. And Erinn, I think you had something else you wanted to talk about. You wanted to talk about Blueface.
Yo.
Wow. Out of control. No, well, I have been thinking about going back to eating some meat. I'm a vegetarian, but I've been thinking about it. So I'm definitely not the person to talk about any kind of chicken sandwiches because I ain't had meat in like 7 years or something, like 6 or 7 years, something like that. But anyway, my real
wait a minute, hold on. What's leading you to that decision? That's actually
we have to talk about this for a second too. Yes,
just because I feel like it's I've been gaining a little bit of. I feel like as much as I work out, and I know I'm getting older and my metabolism slowing. Like I get all that, but I feel like as much as I work out, I feel like I just need a little bit more protein. I just need to watch more, monitor what's exactly in the stuff that I'm eating, right? And making sure that I'm getting the protein and the nutrients required to kind of Especially as you age, as your body changes, what you need probably changes. I'm assuming I'm about to sound just as stupid as I did about the weather last week when we were talking about the rain and the droughts. But it's something I'm considering. I'm gonna go harder in the gym. Although I was playing softball the other day and I pulled my hamstring. So I'm a pretty good softball player. I played baseball growing up. I could still play softball really well. And I told myself before the game, like I warmed up my arm. I was like, damn, I didn't even stretch because I kept looking over because we were short some people. And I kept looking over to the parking lot to make sure somebody was coming instead of like stretching. So the bases were loaded and I hit pretty much what should have been an easy grand slam. But I was running from second to third and I felt something pull and pop in my hamstring. So I stopped at third for a second, but I'm competitive. I was like, I could still make it home. I could still make it home because there's enough time because I hit it that far. So,
we see it. You hit it that
far. I'm confident about my softball skills. So yeah, I did make it home, but like so that has slowed me down. I was starting to feel good too. My legs are starting to get back healthy, and it just hamstring, bam. So I probably am down for about a week, but I could do other stuff in the gym. Anyway.
I just started seeing a homeopathic doctor and I'm mostly pescatarian. And so she was like, oh, you don't really eat a lot of meat. And I'm like, I eat fish. Yeah. And I eat turkey sometimes. And she has been encouraging me to up that. She was like, because I eat a lot of vegetarian meals. So she's like, if you're not going to veer from fish and turkey, you've got to up it a lot. And I was like, what? I thought she was going to be like, yeah, you need to steer more towards vegetarian because I don't even eat like plant-based burgers. I do if I'm out, but at home, I'm really eating like vegetables because, a lot of that stuff just has a bunch of binders and fillers. And so hearing that from her, and then she started kind of giving me some explanations. I have a couple of friends who are vegans who are going to her and now they eat all sorts of meat and they're like extremely more healthy. And this is not me. This is not a ploy for eating more meat or not eating more meat. I see benefits on both sides.
We are sponsored by the USDA as of today.
I would never.
I don't think any of us would.
Yeah, but so I think it's fascinating that you're like moving towards that because even I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to start eating just to see. I'm going to stick with it for like 6 months, see what I feel like and how I feel. But for the first time in my life, I'm actually seeing like a solid dramatic drop in my weight. And even after working out a ton last year, now I'm working out even harder, but I have a trainer, but eating the way that I was eating is working. And she was like, it's working, but I feel like this could work even better for you. So we'll see. I'm going to give it 6 months and see what's going on. But yeah, I'm like in the same place of like eating more meat in my life. I'm starting this week. So I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it would still be very like a lot of the documentaries and stuff really traumatized me. Like more than anything, it's about like animals for me. Like it wasn't even about like, and initially I did feel a lot better, but then I probably just still eat like too many processed foods. I do eat some of the fake meats sometimes, but anyway, let's get to the music, what people are expecting us to talk about. So what I wanted to talk about is like for the past 5 or 6 years, people, a lot of people kind of predicted the demise of major record labels, like they're just going to go away. But we've seen every year, every month, more signings to major record labels, right? The more recent one that I saw was Lady London, who I've been following for some time because she's a dope rapper. Her following is huge. She's an attractive young lady and she's a dope rapper. So, her following is super huge because I think that her rap style is a bit unique. It's almost like she's kind of like just talking to you. It's real smooth. So I could see why she got the following she has, but I can't name one song from her. I don't feel like the following has ever really translated to like a bunch of people on Spotify checking out her music. Even today, I looked, it was like 60,000 monthly listeners.
It's her TikTok though.
What do you mean? What's her TikTok?
Like her songs are going crazy. She has two, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2 songs on TikTok that are being used so consistently.
Oh, so I mean, so obviously that's dope, but don't you want that to like flow to listens of the actual songs? Like, or are we going to get it? Well, who was that concert? Was that we talked about? Was it Steve Lacy?
Yeah.
Is it going to lead? I mean, I know he's a big artist, and he has a lot of people coming to his shows and listening to his music. So I'm not putting him in that bucket, but you know, that's obviously getting viral. Anything is positive, right? But like, if people ain't really checking out the whole song, like, you know, I know that she wants to be in an art, like she's inspired by like the Jay-Z's and, you know, coming up. You know, I would imagine she wants people to really listen to the music, and I would think that I don't know the inner workings of her team. From the outside looking in, it's kind of like the same process I see all the time with artists. It looks like they hit a wall. They like independent artists. They always hit a wall at some point, and very few of them know how to break through that wall and continue the momentum. Right. But a lot of them, because when they get frustrated, they don't understand like what's going on. And they think that the only option is to sign to a label. And I think that's why we continue to see it happen, because, you know, independent artists, it's easier for them to get like the passionate music fans that are in their lane, that are like looking for music, that are like really dedicated to like seeing what's new, what's next. They love music. Right. But once you get those passionate music fans that are in your lane, like, how do you break into other markets? How do you get the more casual listener? That's why the momentum kind of stops from what I've seen for a lot of independent artists. Like, you got all the crazy music fans that are in your lane. Okay, now what? That's when things start to slow down. And I feel like that's when artists just start doggy paddling, looking for a life raft, and then one of them is a major record label, and then that's what they think is going to get them going to continue the momentum. And maybe for some it works, but some just get frustrated and start cussing out their label, and then you start to see, you know, the label artist controversy.
I agree with your point that artists hit a wall and don't know what to do. But with the Lady London example, I don't know if it's necessarily that. Not that you're saying it's definitively that. But I think that with her situation, I think it's a W for her, considering the amount of monthly listeners she has. That to me doesn't seem like an independent hit a wall. That seemed like she leveraged her social currency to get a record deal that may have not been allotted, wouldn't be allotted to somebody of her size. Same thing happened to me when we went over to Def Jam, is that we had something that Def Jam wanted, and I even told them my artist is too small and too young for y'all to really want to invest in him. And so I was trying to walk away, and they were determined, and we signed a short, quick deal. We made a little bit of money, and then we left. With her, I think she's going to have some longevity there, especially because women in hip hop are big up. But I think, kind of like you're saying, don't you want people to listen to the music? I think the landscape of the industry is changing. I think that if people are listening to part of a song, a lot of artists, that's all they care about. Truth be told, a lot of artists just want to be recognized for their art contribution to the world, even if it's fragmented. You know what I'm saying? Like, Basquiat is one of my favorite artists, but I think that most people only know his crown or the dinosaur. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know like Samo. They don't really know about him as an artist. And I think that a major part of his legacy is just the fragmentation of it, but it still contributes to the overall story of who he was as an artist. So, not trying to go too far off track, but I think that when it comes to Lady London, if this is a step, you know, whereas it used to be back in the day, a label would develop an artist and then they would put them on tour. And then eventually you get a music video, then they'd go on a talk show. And that was the way that you'd break an artist. I feel like now if the first step is you go viral on TikTok, I feel like that's still attention and she's got that attention. So she's probably living in the steps that she's looking for. I don't think that artists today are like, man, I just want everybody to listen to my whole song. Some people are saying that, but if they had a song go viral on TikTok today and it was only a 15-second clip, they would be stoked because all they're looking for truthfully is attention. I would even say that for me. I want people to listen to my words and I want them to care about what I'm contributing to the world. But if a soundbite from our podcast, which is often, either even this podcast or the How to Build Your Own Dreams podcast, I'll have 15 to 30-second clips that do really well. And it attracts people over to me from that thing. And I feel like it's just a stepping stone. So like the new landscape of the music industry, I don't find an issue with an artist who doesn't have a bunch of monthly listeners signing a deal, hoping to leverage that. Conversely, where I do feel like artists are hitting a wall is you hit 1 million monthly listeners, you feel like people aren't giving you enough credit, or you feel like you're not getting tour opportunities or festival stages. So then you're like, man, I'm just going to sign a deal because they should be able to make this go further because I'm stuck. That's where I see a lot of people stuck between the like 750 and 2 million monthly listeners. A lot of them feel stuck, not because they're not making money, but because they feel like they are not getting as much love, credibility, and opportunity as their counterparts who may have smaller numbers or less of a cult fan base. I'm working with an artist who felt that way. Now he's signed to a major. They didn't really do much. He asked to be let out of his deal. Then he came over to our team. And now we have a lot of really creative ideas that we're starting to deploy. But I don't see it with small artists. With the small artists, I get why they're signing. Everybody will say they want to stay indie, but when that major deal is sitting in front of them, most people just want the validation to be like, I signed a Def Jam, I signed a Republic. You know what I'm saying? So small artists, shout out to you for being able to leverage anything to get that deal if that's what you want. But bigger artists, I feel like that's when I have a bone to pick because it's like if you find the right people, that's where I'm starting to really find a lot of benefit in the industry is like teams that have a decent amount of momentum but don't know how to leverage that are starting to call Brandon and I like, yo, what should we do with this? And I'm like, yes, don't go to a label. We can help you think like an independent on your level, you know?
Yeah, but I'm not even saying that signing is a bad thing. Like signing, I think this, depending on, who you have access to, what your team looks like maybe signing makes a lot of sense. If you're signing out of desperation and you just have no clue, then I would, suggest that's probably not the wisest move. But if you really feel like this is the label that can help take things to another level, because I think for the most part, like independent artists, like underestimate like what's really required to get like to another level. Right. They have a few followers and things like that. I think that it's just they think it's going to go up like that forever, but you have to continue to evolve your music, evolve your brand. Like there's an infrastructure that's required and, build proper relationships, with the platforms that can help amplify what you're doing. Like it's a heavy lift. And if you really feel genuinely like this label can plug a lot of those holes that you have in your team, then cool. Like I think Def Jam could be a good look for Lady. I think it seemed like she needs the help and she has the sound, she has the look. I haven't heard a song that I think is gonna go crazy, but maybe that's what they can help her with. They can put her in the rooms with, in the studio with the right folks, and they can get some songs, some bigger songs, some bigger sounding songs instead of just like these, like, I mean, rapping is cool, but like, for a lot of artists, it's like, okay, cool, you can rap. Great. Like, all right. That's the first step, but it has nothing to do with making a big song.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it even with artists that the labels dumped a lot of resources into. I feel like that was kind of the Jack Harlow approach where, he was a rapper, and they were looking for a hit, and they just kept. I was seeing them really put a lot of energy behind him, which I wondered about, because I think, there are a lot of artists like him. I wonder how labels make that determination where they allocate certain resources for certain artists. Who knows, but good for him either way. And my thing with signing, especially if you're smaller, especially if you feel like you're not prepared to sign and suddenly here comes a deal, either make it short term and get in and get out, or try to get as much money as you can right away, because you never know what's going to happen. That's all I'm saying.
Artists never feel like they're not prepared to sign, though. They always feel like, yeah, I deserve this. I need this. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I rarely meet an artist that's self-aware enough to say they're not ready to sign.
Yeah, until you start asking them questions. That's kind of my thing. Just having conversations with people, and then you see how little they're actually doing themselves. Because I think that's the biggest. Maybe that's what the two of you are talking about when you're talking about hitting a ceiling. It's just a self-imposed ceiling. A lot of artists, anyone, rappers, producers, singers, songwriters, management, whatever, they hit a ceiling in their careers, and it's not because of what they think it is. A lot of them will say, I'm hitting the ceiling because I need more money. I need more resources. I need a bigger network. I need industry support. I need label support. When in reality, someone just needs to come along and ask them the right questions and say, hey, what is your upload schedule like? What's your content strategy? Oh, I don't know. Usually that's the case. They don't give a great response because they've never actually sat down and looked into, the really essential items for success in the music business. It's more like, we've just been going hard for the last 2 years. It's like, but what does that mean? Put that into words. If you can't put it into words, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, time and time again, when I have these conversations with artists, and I've been having a lot of conversations for Two Lost for a new Two Lost kind of interview series. And like every artist has like this thing that kind of takes off, and I try to ask them like, what happened there? What happened? And it's always the same thing. I have no clue why this video did this or this song did that. And it's like, once you get these moments of like exponential growth, you might start to think like that's how you're moving for the rest of your career, right? They don't know how to recreate or generate another moment. So there's no really proper plan in place. You're just kind of riding that wave. But when that wave crashes into the shore, there's no next wave. There's no next plan. There's no understanding of what just happened, or you maybe didn't properly use the resources that you got from the last wave to invest to increase the chances of creating another one. Right.
Well, so then I disagree. You just said there are no ways to really feel that situation out. If there's a moment, there's a moment. But then you also said, if you ride that wave and it crashes into the shore and you didn't actually prepare for the next wave, or you didn't prepare to extend that wave, or you didn't invest to make sure that there's a second wave. I mean, that's all planning. I think if you have the content, that's why I will defend the Russ stance of creating content and releasing it rather than chasing perfection, because I feel like that's where a lot of artists mess up, especially after they have a moment, whether it's a viral hit, whether it's a TikTok moment, whatever the case is, right? We may not know how we got there, how we got this moment, but we know that we have the moment, and we need to be aware of the fact that moments are fleeting. And so if we're not, I'm not saying trying to recreate that moment, but at very least taking advantage of that moment and being smart about it, then yeah, we're going to see that wave crash. But with artists, a lot of them will say, okay, well, here's my moment. This is it. I'm riding this to the top. That's not how it works. Not usually. Really not ever. And also they start worrying that their next attempt is going to fail and it's not going to be as big. Now you hear artists say that all the time. I have a standard now. I can't fall below the standard. And that standard is artificial. Keep putting music out. The eyes are on you. Put music out. Not everything is going to be something people love. I don't know why artists think that every one of their favorite rappers, every one of their favorite producers is hitting 100% of the time, because they're not. You don't see the failures because people sweep it under the rug really quickly. Not in a conspiratorial way, but just like if a song flops, people don't discuss it. They move on to the one that they like, and then they talk about that. But we fool ourselves by being on the consumer side of things and looking at these artists and trying to apply what we're seeing as consumers to our own careers. And that's just not how it works.
Yeah. So for some more like tangible advice for people that do catch a moment, because I was working with another comedian and he was going through a phase in which he was getting a lot of love, making a lot of money from Facebook, YouTube. And then, he didn't really invest that into anything. And, things kind of slowed down and it was all bad for him. So if you do catch a moment, probably it'll come with additional finances. So you take that money and you save it and to figure out what the plan is going forward. But it's not just money. In this moment, you're going to be getting a lot of attention. The relationships that you can build in this moment that can help you almost ensure that you continue to get more wins is crucial, right? So not thinking you're above anybody, but seeing like, who can you connect? What producers do I have access to now? What videographers want to work with me now that I'm getting more views? Videographers want to be attached to bigger projects. So using that moment to really leverage everything that's happening instead of just kind of, maybe letting your ego take control is so important in making sure that you continue to have positive moments. I think Toby Nwigwe is a perfect example of this. Like every time I saw him get a win, he really knew how to capitalize on that win. Even that shout out that he got a shout out from Erykah Badu kind of early on, like a few years ago. Right. And he super celebrated it. I mean, I'm sure it was genuine, but then I think he turned it into a song. Basically, the song, I forget how it went, but it was like basically celebrating that Erykah Badu thinks he's the shit, so he really capitalized on that moment. I'm sure that she probably reposted, reshared, that. And then it's just kind of time after time. And it just kind of built his momentum because his team really knows how to like capitalize on a win and make it look dope. So, follow him. I know he's kind of off and doing this thing now. But he's still doing the same thing. I mean, he's still like just capitalizing on his success. But in the early days, it was cool to see, being in the industry for as long as I had been in, it was like, I knew what he was doing. I don't know if he knew like how it would help him. Well, I knew he knew how it would help him, but I don't really think he knew like the importance of what he was doing at the time. And it was just dope to see from the outside looking in.
Yeah, that don't be too cool. I had to leave an artist because of that. His momentum was going up like this, and every opportunity that came our way, he'd be like, "Oh, that's sick. I'm good." Yo, we had TikTok, Puma, just all these brands reaching out, giving us stuff. I think TikTok gave us I think it was like $30,000 or $40,000 in the ad credits. You know what I'm saying? They were like, use these. And he wasn't even on TikTok like that. I think he had like 3 posts, but he had this song that started picking up like 3 years later from a mixtape, and it was going crazy on Instagram. Like everybody was using the sound. And I guess TikTok got wind of that, and they were like, please make something on TikTok so that it can carry the same thing. I'm saying, like, we had meetings with them. He was like, oh, that's super cool. Man, I can't believe this is happening. And so everybody was like, oh, that's so sweet. Then he'd get off the phone and be like, I'm kind of cool on it though. And I'd be like, what? You know what I'm saying? Or we would have like planning meetings around different stuff. We had brand deals that were just like being, you know what I'm saying? We had these song collabs that he was doing. And then like the day before the song was supposed to come out, he'd be like, I don't really like the mix. And I'm like, we sent this to you 4 weeks ago and
Yeah.
you never responded to the email. So word started traveling really quickly that he was hard to work with and that he didn't want to collab. So like when I tell you it was like November, December, January, we're going like this. February starts to go like this. March is plummeting. And by then he was ignoring me. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. Because he got so caught up on internet hype. The crazy thing was he wasn't making any money. Like this kid was living, son was, I'm not going to front this dude out, but son had no money. That was the crazy part too. So it was like all these opportunities, even the features, they were like, people were taking whatever I told them. They were like, okay, we want to be a part of this, yada, yada, yada. So it was like, I was leveraging as much as I could to make this kid some money. And he was just like completely lost on the hype. And, you know, his career's kind of done this, and then there's a little pop, and then it goes like this. So he's like riding this wave, but he's still pretty much in the same situation that he was when I left, like I think 3 years ago. And I think it's, very few live shows because, I own a booking agency, so we stopped booking them. Even sometimes now when I have a big event in Atlanta, he pulls up and tries to get up the stage. It's like you haven't grown. That's crazy to me, but it's that hype. Don't feel. I have another artist who got a little bit of hype and wouldn't really do anything, and now I guess he's starting to realize he's got to move. But it's like people get caught up on that hype, and it's the end of that momentum, because I feel like you can't attract more things when you get in your own way.
I just don't understand what is going on internally with people, and that's what always blew my mind about anyone I was around when anything positive would happen. Those were the moments. Like, if we're all fucked up, right? No money, everyone's cool, everyone's motivated, and then some little crumb of success comes our way, and suddenly people just drop off the face of the map. Anytime any of my groups have split up, anytime, well, I've only managed one artist, but the reason that dissolved, all of those moments came at moments of ascension. We were always going up when shit hit the fan. We had a Sprite campaign with the very first rap group I was ever in, and it was a duo. We had a Sprite deal, falls off the face of the earth, just gives up. When I was co-managing an artist, there was a run of big shows, really successful performances. The YouTube views were going up; they were in the millions. Suddenly, it was like, I don't know, it's just like something's wrong. That it's some artificial creation of something negative comes up. And I just think, it's self-sabotage, but it's such an interesting phenomenon. It's the opposite of self-preservation. I'm not qualified to speak on psychology. I'm just curious as to why that always tends to happen. It's like the people, it must be something unique to creatives. When things are going well, they have to find a way to make them worse. Or they have to find a way to say, all right, this is a good thing. Cool, I'm done.
I feel like it's like they want to tell that story in a song later. But I don't know. Somebody mentioned on one of our posts that we don't talk about anything but hip hop. I'm going to say this applies across the board. When I was working with a rock band, we were touring all over the US. We toured in the UK. We come back and the guys literally sit me down and they're like, hey, we don't want to work on the business anymore. We just want to be artists. And I'm like, huh? We aren't making any money right now.
And that was the whole group that came to that conclusion. But tell me, like, what the fuck was going on in their heads when they come off of a successful tour and they're like, guys, I got this idea. Let's just shoot ourselves in the foot. And everyone in the group's like, yeah, that's a great idea. How?
Yeah, and they like the whole band. They were like, yeah, Erinn, we feel like we've gotten to the point where we just want you to handle the business. And I was like, guys, we just started singing Upward Tick. We came back from our UK tour, and I think each of them got like $1,500, and they all just like moved in together. You know, I had like put my job on hold, and so I got like probably like $400 or $500 and had to immediately go back to work. I take off, come up to see them on a Saturday, think we're gonna be in the trenches, like, yo, that was a great run. Here's what we're doing next. And they're like, we just wanna, you know, smoke weed and like work on music because we feel like we found our best creative form now. And yeah, of course, everything broke apart like less than a year later. I left, and none of them, I think one's a session musician. I think the lead singer sings on cruise ships now. No disrespect to them, but it's like, what? You know, reggaeton. I worked in like reggaeton music for a little bit. I had an artist, same thing. He started getting all these publications talking about him. Broke, listen to me, broke, listen to me, super broke. He started getting publications talking about him, and his first YouTube video hit 100,000 views. And he was like, I just feel like you're not enough for me. And I think that you need to be working harder. I'm really about, you know, so just so y'all know, it spans the gambit of genres, artists. Respect to y'all. I think that y'all are beautiful, brilliant people, but there's something about y'all's ability to self-sabotage that's like no other people group on the face of this planet.
So I actually have footage. So we were shooting a second documentary when the crash and burn was like starting. And I've never released it, and I don't think I'll release it. But there's a conversation on the bus where people would actually, because people might listen to this and be like, oh, you guys are, you know, what's wrong with you guys? You guys are making this up, or can't be this bad. Like, I actually have footage of a conversation that's the most, I haven't watched it recently. I think I watched it again like last year because I was looking for it. And it's like the most frustrating thing to watch, because in real time, you see how ridiculous things are, and like the mindset that these artists, and the reason why they want to make certain decisions. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me right now? I don't know if I'll ever release this footage. I probably won't, but
you gotta send it to me now.
There's actual documentation of how wild these conversations are. You know,
I started doing that. I started recording voice notes when I have to go into hard conversations, just because when I explain them to my friends, sometimes they're like, there's no way, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So I started just recording voice notes just so I could send them to my friends. I don't have any like crazy ones, but even the ones I've sent off to my friends, they think are preposterous. So I want to see this one.
Yeah. And I would also like, you know, obviously on your journey, you're going to need people on your team, right? And, you know, a manager only gets 20%. Other people get their fractions of whatever. Like, I really need, that's why I really love working with Ja, because he cares, like he knows, you know, the economic arrangement, and he'll do stuff sometimes. No, he's like, hey, Dame, I don't really want to do this, but like, I know you're going to get paid off this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Like, but I feel like there needs to be some kind of, I'm not saying that you should do anything and everything, you know, but recognize that your team needs to survive as well. And I think there should be some sacrifice at some point, you know, especially if you're not making a ridiculous amount. I mean, if you're making Kevin Hart money, everybody's eating anyway, whether you do this thing or not. But sometimes, you know, you will be at a level where it really matters, where you should do that thing because your team needs to continue to be positive and have some money flowing into their bank account. But there's never, like, that's never, ever even a concern for most. They're not even thinking about the team.
Well, they're not even making money themselves. But that's the weird thing, Erinn. They're selfish, but they're cutting their own limbs off as they're in the middle of a run. It doesn't make sense.
But if you're not selfish, if you're like, for instance, me with my team, I will say yes to some gigs. We will do some certain things because I know that it puts more money in the bank because my team is going to, I've taken a salary. My salary is shit, but I take a salary. So it's not going to change every month. Do you know what I'm saying? But I know that if we have more cash flow, then my team can do more things. We can give people more hours. Artists don't think like he said, Josh said, oh, I may not be super into this, but I know you're going to get paid off of this. That's the type of, hey, this isn't all about me. This is about we. I get to make most of the decisions based on my preference, but right now I'm making it based on taking care of my team. Most artists can't think that way. They're like, I'm here, I have a team, y'all are here to support me, it's all about me. Because of that, I do not work with artists who think that way anymore. In fact, there's an artist who probably doesn't realize it, but if he doesn't change by the end of this year, he may be out with my team because it's like, it's been so many hard no's. Now he's starting to say yes to stuff we wanted him to say yes to 2 years ago, and the door is closed. The money isn't the same. We're having to re-pry open. That looks crazy on me. The type of reputation I have now, I'm going to say no. I'm going to be like, hey, I'm not doing that now because you are going to make me look foolish for saying no to these people and running back several years later, asking for it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it is selfish because you're not able to process. Yes, you are broke. If you want to stay there, that's cool. But if you're willing to let your team suffer because your ego won't get it out of the way and say, let me just take the, and again, I understand your brand. I understand integrity to what you believe in, but it's not that deep. My job is to protect and build your brand. If I bring you something, I'm bringing you something that's on brand. So if you're sitting here trying to tell me, nah, it's not really, I don't like this, that's a super niche preference that you have in the landscape of the things that I helped you build and cultivate. If you really don't want to do it, let's have a conversation about it. But if you keep saying no to opportunities, why would I stay here? I had this one point with that same artist where it was like every month we were saying no to anywhere from like 5 to 10K. This is no exaggeration, especially when he was in super high demand. I'm talking about 5 to 10K and this kid is staying at home with his mom. And I'm sitting here struggling, trying to make stuff happen, pull stuff together. My life would have been changed if he would have said yes to some of that, which is why I stayed for so long. Cause I'm like, there's a lot of earning capability here. Maybe I just need to position it to him differently. After 6 months of saying no to all that stuff, I got out and everything started to drop after that. Cause nobody wanted to work with him. He was hard to talk to, hard to deal with, whatever. And it's like, once even his label hit me up and was like, can we pay you to help work with him? And I was like, hell no. Like, your label can't even get through to you. They're trying to hire me as a contractor to work with you. No, that's insane to me. And I think that there's so many artists have that flavor. Again, the rock band that I worked with, imagine you touring the entirety we were getting called so many places in the UK after we went over there that we extended our trip for a month. Imagine coming back from a 2.5-month UK tour and you now work on a fucking cruise ship. That's crazy to me. But it's because in their mind, they're just like, so many bigger things are about to happen. I'm destined for greatness. Yo, you have to show up and work for that greatness. And I think that's the thing that the artists don't understand. When you get a taste of it, it's like a hit, like no other. They get that high and they just think it's there forever. It's like, yo, if you want to stay high, you got to work for the drug money.
Yeah. Take care of your team. That's my message for today. Yeah. If you got people that genuinely support you, care for you, love you as a person, take care of your team. And if you have to do something, that you may not super want to do, but that it's going to be beneficial for the squad, I think it's maybe not as strong as say it. It should be an obligation. You should feel obligated to just take care of your team. You should feel obligated to support the people that are propping you up. That's just how I feel. And I know we've gone long. I know we got other topics. So Payne, if you want to, I don't mind going a little long, especially since we only got a few episodes left. Yeah. I got 30 more minutes. Not that we'll go take the full 30, but if we want to go into another topic, feel free, Payne.
Well, I'm going to continue dropping podcast episodes. It's just going to be called the EMC podcast. But my topic, yeah. And you guys are welcome to join. You just have to switch your last name, so it's not
Entrepreneur Club Music. Wait, Entrepreneur Music Club. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure that out. I was trying like what EMC stands for.
One of you can take my last name. I don't know if Pakal Knight.
I'm taking Ritter. If Dave
you're taking Ritter
with one of his brothers, they got to move to Atlanta though. I got too many good things going here. If they're sane and they love Black women, hook me up, Dave.
Atlanta is a beautiful place. That's a great offer, Dame. I would consider it. So
for me, I mean, it's on my list of potential places to move. I got to get out of Cali eventually, especially if it's going to be raining like this now. Like it's a wrap for me.
Well, that just sweetens the pot. I think Erinn's making a really compelling case here.
Yeah, because now your brother will have his brother here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look, tell him I need his money, but I make my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he doesn't have to worry about me being a gold digger.
Don't tell him that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever is enticing to him. If he's sane and loves Black women, let's talk about it.
just give him those 2 points. That's it. So, okay. This is a weird sentence. Eminem cat rap. I didn't even know what this was, but apparently because AI is all over the place now, and it's actually getting better. I heard someone do a Kanye AI rap, and it did really sound like Kanye, because these apps can mimic anyone's voice, and it's crazy because even when you get hype, they get hype as well. It's really nuanced and sophisticated. Someone did this with Eminem's voice, and they were rapping about cats, which you would think I would have heard about given the subject matter. This was put on YouTube. It was all AI generated, and UMPG, which is Universal Music Publishing Group, and YouTube made the decision to strike that video down on grounds of copyright infringement. There are so many other. Now, granted, it was similar to Not Afraid. It was parody. I talked about fair use recently. Parody and fair use go hand in hand. That could potentially be a defense, but they're not at that point yet. My thing too with like anyone talking about legal this and that in the music business, when it comes to the internet, these platforms strike you down. There's no due process. You don't appeal. You don't submit a long-winded explanation about fair use, and they suddenly say, "Oh, we've considered this very carefully and we've reinstated your video." That's not how it works. They make a choice and they don't talk back to you. But it does make you wonder if this is coming to other AI generated content. Now, I'm not trying to say that I feel additionally vindicated because there's still no viable AI beat generator. But I think, the statement that this is, as I was saying, going to affect rappers quite a bit. It's happening. And, there were some fake TikToks that producers were losing their minds.
Don't change the argument, Payne.
Wait, what was the argument that it's going to affect?
You were saying that it's going to affect them both equally. I still disagree.
Well, right now we're at a dead heat, I would say.
No,
because it hasn't affected us. Well, so someone did cause some hysteria.
I'm sure already there are artists that instead of going to BeatStars created something on this AI beat generator and never went to a beat marketplace, and that's taking away from a potential sale.
Yeah, I think that's been happening before AI, and I'll talk about why. Because right now, the AI beat generators are pretty awful in terms of someone listening to those and actually recording music to them. It sounds pretty bad. Someone did say the best I heard was a beat generator that some random company tweeted to me, and what it sounded like to me, and this is an educated guess, but I think I'm right. It sounded like an AI program that would just put loops together, like a drum loop with a melody loop, and they would know how to match tempos, but they also created a bass line and it was completely out of key. So the tonality element of AI isn't there. My guess is, again, the bass line was just a loop. it was just 3 loops: bass, instrument, drums. Anyone can do that with GarageBand or Splice. So this isn't really, it's AI, but it's not quite AI enough. So are people doing that? Yeah, and people have been doing it. There were the TikTok videos of a guy typing in an AI prompt into a program called God, it has the word riff in it. Anyway, the beat sounded amazing. Everyone freaked out. Oh my God, AI is going to replace everybody because of these beats. They're amazing. They sound mixed super well. It was fake. It was a joke. But what I was getting at is a lot of, because I led with the copyright conversation. A lot of producers, regardless of whether or not AI beats are trash or AI music generators are trash right now, a lot of producers believe, because I've been getting tweets and comments saying this, that AI generated content is copyright free. It's not protected by copyright. It can't be protected by copyright. I don't know where this narrative started. I think there was maybe one article early on that said, if it's not generated by a human, it can't be copyrighted, which I think will change as more AI companies or more large companies with a lot of resources start investing into AI and want intellectual property ownership over the content that's being generated. You think Meta is going to jump into the AI sphere and say, oh yeah, all of this is free for everyone? Nah, that's not how capitalism works. But according to an article in the Register, the United States Copyright Office will consider content created using AI if a human author has crafted something beyond the machine's direct output. So, a producer using an AI generated sample that could be copyrighted. A digital, the example that they give is all artwork, visual art. Digital artwork that was formed from a prompt and then edited further using Photoshop, for example, is more likely to be accepted by the office. The initial image created by AI would not be copyrightable, with the final product produced by the artist might be. But how will this be enforced realistically? Because you're not going to fight a lawsuit for every single beat that you uploaded using an AI generated sample to determine if it is eligible for copyright, especially given the fact that current copyright law states that when your art is fixed in tangible form, it already is copyrighted. So it sounds like a mess. My guess is that there will be some kind of change or amendment or something to the Copyright Act of 1976 to account for AI and all the other technologies that have existed for decades, especially over the last 2 decades, because since 1976, we didn't have the internet back then. A lot of stuff has changed. We didn't have digital audio workstations, not really. So what is going to happen? And you see the copyright landscape changing so fast, from AI generated Eminem and Kanye voices to potential AI generated beats and samples. Who's going to own that stuff? Again, we're talking about the music business. We're talking about North America. We're talking about capitalism. This is the context in which these things are happening. There's no way it's going to be a free for all. There's no way.
Well, it's also going to be a very long time before this is sorted out. Obviously, technology leads, any type of legal change by a long shot. So I just anticipate this being a huge clusterfuck for a very long time. And then when they do something, it's probably not going to be the right thing. So it's going to have to be, we have to go back to the drawing board for hella more years. So strap in. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, it's the law. The law follows the technology, but the law also follows whoever has the legislative power, which is lobbyists, and lobbyists are the people with the money. So UMPG has the money. YouTube has the money. What is going to serve their interests? What's going to make their life easier, and what's going to make their pockets fatter? That's what's going to happen. It just is. It's like with the whole NFT thing. We're here to democratize the internet and do this and that. And it was funny too, because that was all about money also, or is all about money. It's not like it's over with. But people weren't saying come over here because we're preserving art. It's come over here, you're going to have financial control. You're going to make a killing. That's how
Well,
it
a
was
lot of people
marketed.
try to disguise, but a lot of people try to disguise their, financial. They were really in it for the money, but they tried to act like it was about community and this is the art and blah blah blah. Like most of y'all are here because you're trying to get paid. Like, let's be honest about it.
And the funny thing was not even with me. It was all like, it was the whole, you're over here in Web3 broke as hell and we're rich over here, and or you're in Web2 broke as hell. We're here in Web3 and we're just taking a dip in our swimming pool full of money.
And some of them were for a second. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
well, not the musicians. It wasn't musicians. It was crypto whales and people like that who was like, yeah, you made money, but that doesn't transfer to artists.
Well, some of them, like, because I just spoke with a cat named Alan Kingdom, who did pretty well. But he, according to him, he kind of knew that this wasn't going to last forever, right? So he cashed out and even opened up a spa for men in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's called Crypto Cuts. So yeah, I mean, it's just a wild. It's a wild space. If you see something that's too shiny, it might be real gold there, but it's only going to be there for if you don't get there quick, it's going to be gone, and you're going to have to find the next hustle. So, do you think that? Because I heard, there was an artist that put out a collab with him and Jay-Z, right? Like, do you think people will get in trouble for using other people's voices if they wrote completely different lyrics and it just sounds like Jay-Z?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think you do. I mean, but what about a person that can just impersonate Jay-Z without, like, if it's Afion Crockett or one of these comedians and they did a song but it was just in a Jay-Z voice, they can get in trouble for that?
I don't think they can get in trouble for that. I think when we're talking about the musical landscape and monetized platforms that labels who represent these artists control, and they've effectively sidestepped legal processes because of DMCA. So they can just shut down whatever. I don't think people are going to get sued.
Just the voice, though. Yeah, like, if you don't say this features Jay-Z when it really doesn't. Like, if you just have an artist, that sounds like another art, and they didn't correct people. They were like, oh, this sounds like Jay. They let other people run with that it's a Jay-Z song, but it's really not a Jay-Z song. But they didn't promote it as a Jay-Z song. Right. You're saying that somebody can get in trouble. You're saying that the legal action could be taken.
Jay-Z's team may come after them.
Yeah, I think anything could happen with the internet. You just file the claim, and it's gone.
I don't know.
I'm not saying that that's going to be their priority, but you never know. I think what they could do is go after the technology that mimics the voices, and they could, because obviously the technology is going to very clearly state that this is the Jay-Z voice. They're not just going to say Brooklyn accent. They're not going to do that. It's going to say Jay-Z voice. So his people could, I mean, if they have the money and the resources and the machines behind them, they can do whatever they want.
So are we going to do the same thing with beats? Is it a type beat? If this is a DJ Payne type beat?
If DJ Payne one had $1 billion and UMPG behind him, yeah, that's possible.
No, it's getting be interesting. I'll just be on the sideline with my popcorn. I have no actual personal vested interests.
I hope it's one of those big ass carnival bags that like takes 7 toddlers to carry, because like you said, yeah, it's going to take a while for this to get sorted out. I mean, copyright law as it is, how many people are still being affected by all of this? I mean, it's getting worse, and this is without AI in the mix. This is just people uploading music that they own getting struck down by a platform. This is someone filming their own live performance getting struck down. This is someone losing their TikTok profile for no reason, and the company's not giving them a reason. That's just the new normal. And so you throw AI in the mix, all bets are off. So I just tell people to use caution, I guess, and really kind of feel things out. Because yeah, you might build a nice little following off of AI generated content, and then one day that's all taken away from you because it's a house of cards, and all that has to happen is one major corporate interest has to say, yeah, we don't like this. We're gonna push that button on your on your YouTube account, and that's what happens. It's gone.
Oh. All right. Well, I mean, we can wrap it.
How about this? We'll get it. We'll do an MEC AI vocal generator so that some other people, another trio, can create AI generated MEC episodes
and give out false information about the music industry, allegedly, like we did.
Perfect.
Hey.
It's easy.
There you go.
I would just like to plug the How to Build Your Own Dreams podcast, since we're only going to hit this for 2 more episodes now. If you want to still hear my voice, talking about the music industry-ish, it's more about life lessons that I learned in the music industry with my business partner, but the How to Build Your Own Dreams podcast. And then I'm working on a solo podcast right now. I'm like 13 episodes in. I'm really excited about it. I plan on dropping it in the next month. I know I've been talking about it, but it's called A Podcast for Adults to Fall Asleep To. And it's just my voice. It's me talking about my feelings in the music industry. And I sit in my bed at night and do it. And yeah, so if you want to fall asleep, that's great. I'm hoping to give you rest. But if you want to hear about my feelings, that's also great. If you want to do both, you can replay it after you fall asleep and wake up the next morning. So yeah, that's my new podcast that's coming soon.
What makes the listen make you want to fall asleep? Is it like just the content? Is it how you're saying it? Like,
I think it's just my voice. When I started releasing the episodes of the How to Build Your Own Dream podcast, I had multiple friends hit me like, yo, this is cool, but like your voice is so soothing. I just want to listen to it falling asleep. So I started telling people about that. And then a lot of my friends, especially at night, or if they need to be encouraged, I'll send them voice notes. And they're always like, oh, your voice is so soothing. So it's really just me talking a little bit slower than I do on here, but it's just like the soothingness of my voice.
Got it. But why are you talking about, like, what you say you're talking about your problems in the music? Like, why do you want people
feelings? So
your
like,
feelings.
Yeah, a practice that my therapist gave me a couple of years ago when I was feeling like angsty at night, because I'd meet all day and then I would feel like I just have a lot of energy but nobody to talk to. She was like, just record voice notes of whatever you're thinking about feeling. But with this podcast, I'm assuming that most people don't care about my feelings because they don't know me. So it's a practice. It's just me getting them out so that I can get to my restful cycle. And just so happens to be that I'm going to release it. So if you want to hear some of my intimate thoughts at night, you can listen. But the point is just so that you're not turning the TV on for the blue light, and you're maybe not listening to something that will end up with a bunch of crazy commercials or wild things. It's just 20-25 minutes of a soothing voice talking gently. And then at the end of it, I encourage everybody. So, like the human voice and encouragement, the way that your prefrontal cortex works, all those different things. If you're getting encouraged while you sleep, it usually opens up the opportunity for you to have a better morning. So that's how I always end, is with an encouragement to people.
Maybe that's why I have a messed up morning, because I'll be falling asleep with terrible. I mean, I don't have no problem falling asleep. Sometimes I will give, one of those C-level black movies on Netflix just a play, just so I could give it a play. But I ain't watched past the credits. I'm already gone. That's what
I don't have a problem falling asleep either, but I do have a lot of friends who struggle with getting to sleep, falling asleep. Like once I get in bed, I'm usually out within 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, well, I'm definitely gonna check it out when you drop it. So definitely keep us posted.
For sure.
All right, Pay. We
The
can
How to
wrap
Build
it
Your
up.
Own Dreams podcast is out right now. Y'all can watch that and listen to it on all platforms.
Boom.
I wonder if I'll ever get invited to be on that podcast. That
Good
being
luck,
said,
Pay.
I know, right?
It's just being my business partner right now, but we do have plans once we get into season 2 of interviewing people.
That sounds familiar. Once again, appreciate you tuning in to the MEC podcast. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Peace.
Peace.